Good afternoon. You are at the 15 minutes rich daily inspiration BU with Marina and Gayle. And our amazing guest today is Gayle. The mic is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Marina. How excited am I today to be joined in our BU Inspiration Studio by our special guests, and I will introduce them in a moment. But first and foremost, let me introduce myself. Who on earth am I? So I'm Gayle Edwards, and as you can see, it says brand you. Everything I do is about you as a brand, building you as a brand, helping you to really expand into the full essence of who you are. So it's no surprise that our live show is called Be You. And each week we will be discussing topics around being you. What does it take to be you? Who are you really? We'll be asking you the questions that allow you to go that little bit deeper so that you can build brand you, so that you can be, as I call it, a daring diva. And divas aren't just about women. Diva is an attitude. It's about being daring. It's about being intelligent and intentional. It's about being vibrant and awesome with all that you are and all of who you are. So we're going to be really delving into that subject today. And joining me in the studio, of course, the lovely Dr. Marina, but we've also got Sharon Rosenblum. And those of you who are a little bit keen-eyed will recognize Sharon from our last episode. Yes, Sharon joined us in the studio last week and joining the discussions, and she's back again. She loved it so much that she's here again. And we've also got Andy Cox. Oh my goodness, Andy is introducing all of us. She's introducing the world to what she calls the metanoid lifestyle. Oh my goodness, I always love stuff that's different, that's cutting edge, that disrupts an existing market. And that's what Andy's doing with her metanoid lifestyle. She's talking about change for midlife women, but not just women in their midlife, women who, quite frankly, to the rest of us may present as being privileged. And she's here to literally break that middle class box and show us the reality that can happen and the impact that these women have when they just allow themselves to be themselves. So I'm really pleased to have you in the studio today as well, Andy. And of course, we also have with us author and transformational healer and spiritual life coach, Marie Eyre. Oh my goodness. Marie has just authored a book called You Are the Answer. Now, if that is not synchronistic with what we do here at BU, then I don't know what is. And she comes with a life packed, literally bursting at the rafters with experience and wisdom and insight. So I can't wait to hear, Marie, your thoughts and insights as well around what we're speaking about today. So, ladies, welcome again to our BU studio. And today we are going to be talking about a topic that Dr. Marina brought to the table. She brought it to the table to me earlier on today. And I thought, why not discuss this, on a larger scale and invite our audience as well to participate, share your comments with us. If you find the topic engaging, you want to know more, then come and join us in our regular daily room that we host on Clubhouse at 8 o'clock every morning, London BST time. So what is that burning question that I felt so compelled to bring it to the wider forum? It is the one that says, what is stopping you? What is the excuse? What is the excuse that you are making that is stopping you from being you? We have one of our main supporters and cheerleaders going through some real challenging stuff at the moment, but he's still showing up for his community every single day throughout the day. He is not dropping the ball. We know from our own personal challenges, we've been in situations where we don't want to drop the ball either, and we've still shown up. But then there are those times where we kind of stop ourselves short. We stop ourselves short, whereby we come up with the excuses. What are those excuses? So I want to throw this open to the panel where we're going to have, a discussion for the next 20 minutes or so. We're going to be discussing this. So I'm going to hand the mic over to the panelists. Whichever one of you feels compelled to jump in, let's do it.
Can I share?
Of course you can.
Well, as you know, I spoke last week. I lost my husband when I was 39, nearly 20 years ago. And I lived in fear for so much of that time. I had so many limiting beliefs and self-doubt. And I like to say now that if I feel fear, and fear is a natural emotion, it's just energy emotion, but I like to say I'm excited. And I also like to say, instead of it's like face everything and rise. But I never really believed what I did mattered. I never had any purpose or passion in life. And I met a lovely lady when I was doing life coaching who does essential oils. And she said to me, can I come around and do the oils for you with emotions? And I said, yes, of course. And she wouldn't tell me what any of them were called. And she said to me, I don't want to know which ones you like, but just which ones you don't like. And I was smelling them all. And I said, oh, that's nice. That's nice. And I just want to know which one you don't like. And she gave me one to smell. And I literally went, oh, that's disgusting. And then she wanted me to buy the oil. And my mind went mad. And I said, I'm not spending X amount of money on an oil. And she gave me a sample of it to try that night. And oh my God, since using that oil, I found my passion and purpose in life, which is to support people who are grieving. And guess what the name of that oil was, Gayle?
I've got no idea. What was it called? Which one was it?
Passion. And honestly, I know it sounds a bit woo-woo and a bit weird, but since I thought it actually smelt disgusting to me. But when she told me a couple of days later that oil is called Passion, and since using that, well, I don't use it anymore because I actually don't like the smell, but I have found my passion in life, and that is to support those that are grieving.
Oh.
And it's a beautiful story in why so that is how I found my purpose in life.
So that's how you found your purpose through. Now, just think about that for a moment, Sharon. The oil was called Passion, and you were recoiling from that.
Yeah.
You found it distasteful, but yet still it was the thing you needed.
Yes.
And sometimes we have to get uncomfortable in order to get what we need and to be who we truly are, to get to the essence of who we truly are. Sometimes we need to be uncomfortable. So I'm glad that your story has been able to illustrate that for so many of our listeners. And whilst you were sharing, we've been joined by somebody else in the studio, Joyce Peter. Oh my goodness, Joyce, thank you. And I'm so glad that you made it, because Joyce's story is what as well. She put it so beautifully when she recently spoke at the Rich Woman Dream Big Summit, and she spoke about several instances in her life where she was almost there, just about, and then something would happen, just about, and then something would happen. But she's taken that and she's turned it into her purpose and her passion. We're going to hear from Joyce a bit later on. But Joyce, I'm not sure if you caught the beginning of the show, but what we're speaking about here is what stops you from being the full essence of who you truly are. Sharon has found that for her, she was missing literally her passion in life, and it was replaced to her and brought to her through an essential oil. And I can tell you a really, really tiny bit of my story. Anyone that knows me knows, I know, gosh, I feel so terrible saying this, especially in the UK, but I'm not an animal lover. Sometimes.
Neither am I.
That's okay. We're all different. We're all different.
But honestly, Andy, sometimes I think it would be easier to say that I eat small children for breakfast. Okay, because I get it. We have many, animal lovers in my family, so I'm surrounded. But for me personally, I'm not a huge animal lover. But one of the animals for years as a child growing up that I was literally petrified of, to the point of a real phobia, was tigers. Now, I know you're not likely to see a tiger walking down the local high street. However, I don't know what happened, but something must have happened when I was really young that I developed this phobia of tigers, and it's been with me for many, many years, you know, to the point where I couldn't eat Frosties flakes because of the Tony the Tiger. I couldn't go into an Esso petrol station at one stage because that was their mascot. And, you know, I don't wear tiger print, all kinds of mad ways it manifested itself. And when I became an NFT trainer many, many years ago, I remember my master trainer saying to the class, has anyone got any phobias that they would like to deal with? And I said, yes, I have. You know, I really want to get rid of this tiger phobia. And I was actually dismissed because his response was, well, there's no point working on that because you're not going to see one of those in Ruislip, are you? And so because of that, I always felt like it was something that kind of dimmed me down, but it did affect my life because you know, my daughter, I had a child, and as she was growing up, she wanted to go to safari park. She wanted to go to the zoo, and I couldn't take her. I could not take her. You know, so this was a very real phobia playing out in my life, but something happened. I went through a really awful personal tragedy. And as a result of it, I had to have counseling, and I decided to have spiritual counseling. And I was a little bit, you know, umming and ahhing about it at the time because I'm a Christian. I thought, oh gosh, spiritual counseling that's not, you know, faith-based might be a bit, but I thought I'd try it anyway. And the first thing the counselor said to me was, I need to introduce you to your spirit animal. And at that time, she didn't know that I had a phobia of tigers. So, of course, my spirit animal was a tiger, typical. I then went through various other things, and I had lots of different healings and therapies, not necessarily about the phobia, but about different things. But each time it would come up, it would present itself. And one day it released itself. And the day it released itself, I literally scoured the internet. This was something I would never have done before. I scoured the internet for a picture of a tiger, and I wrote a poem called The Blood of a Tiger. And I realized then that it wasn't the tiger that I was scared of, it was myself. It was all the power and the grace and the courage and that ferocity that a tiger has, those elements that I could see in myself and my deep desire to pursue my dreams and to achieve. I could see that they were the very qualities that a tiger had, that fierce protectiveness that they have for their cubs as well, that I was scared of. And ever since I realized that, no problem now. I go to safari parks, I go to the zoo, you know, I wear tiger print. I wear tiger print. So sometimes when we are stopping ourselves from being ourselves, we don't always realize how, but it's in the little things it shows up. For me, it was showing up as a phobia. And now it's clear. Now it's clear. So Sharon, thank you for sharing that about your distaste for the oil and how it's helped you. I'm throwing it open to the rest of you ladies. What would you like to say?
Do you eat Frosties still, Gayle? Oh, sorry.
I don't eat cereal, so so I have Frosties in my house with my daughter, but I personally don't eat cereal. But yes, we have to have Frosties in the house, and for me to go to an Esso petrol station.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Okay. Oh, go on. No, you go. Lovely.
You sure?
Go, Andy.
I think
Yeah,
that's
go for
really
it.
interesting about the phobia of a tiger and it being your spirit animal. I mean, that is such a reflection of you not accepting yourself. So that's amazing. That's such a strong link. And I'm glad because you are a lovely tigress. You are, you know, you're awesome, and I'm so glad you found that tigress within you so you could be who you are. I mean, that's just we would miss you if you hadn't done that. So that's amazing. For me, I'm so conditioned to being in a box, which is why this is my real passion about getting women out of their boxes, especially women like me. And I had a beautiful weekend. I'd been on the Big Dream Summit, really excited. And I rang my sister, told her all this information, and it was like nothing exciting in the world had happened. She was very, oh, okay. And I felt really, really flat. And then I found a lovely quote by Eleanor Roosevelt that says, do what you feel in your heart to be right, for you'll be criticized anyway. So whatever I do, if I stay in my box and don't follow my heart, I'll be criticized. If I go and follow my passion and do what I want, I will still be criticized, but I will be true to being me. I will be the person I'm meant to be for the world, to give to the world my gifts. And if you're hiding all your gifts and you're not getting out there and celebrating yourself and who you are and going out there as brand you, as Gayle says, then the world is losing out. So my biggest advice is be brave, be bold, fan your feathers like the peacock, be the, go out there and be that daring diva, because what have you got to lose? Because if you stay in your box or you go and fly, you will still be criticized. So you might as well go and lead a fulfilled, beautiful life, because you actually have nothing to lose.
Absolutely, Andy. Oliver, why can't I remember his Oscar? I was thinking Oliver. Oscar Wilde said it beautifully. You may as well be yourself because everybody else is taken, right?
Yeah.
So you may as well just be yourself. So thank you, Andy, for that share. So Marie, come to the table, honey. You're on mute, hon.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, lovely. Yes, welcome. Oh, I love your question, Gayle. It's just such a wonderful question. And as the author of You Are the Answer, I think I've probably already answered the question in that I believe that life is a beautiful education, and we're all students. The difference is we're either students and we're listening, or we're students and we're choosing to stay mute. In that is what I mean is life is always going to present us with circumstances, people, places, events, jobs, the whole shebang, you name it. We are always going to be presented with adversity and struggle. Our mindset is constantly on the go. There's noise constantly, whether we want the noise there or not, it's going to be happening. So life presents us with situations, people and circumstances in order for us to grow. So I'll give you two different ways, and I can tell you the difference. Andy, this may help you, lovely, as well, because I went through a situation recently with my own sister, who was massively, she's only just started to deal with stuff that was coming up from her past, and she was massively struggling. She'd come here at Christmas and we'd had a wonderful time, the whole family. I've got a teenage child and young grandchildren, and my sister's lived alone most of her life and needs her sleep and stuff like that. She's very conditioned in the way that she lives her lifestyle, and that's perfectly okay and fine for her. But she didn't get sleep because the boys were too noisy and was really, and she just she got up, said a few unkind words and just left. And the whole Christmas had been planned around this. And she just left and wouldn't speak to me and sent terrible messages and stuff like that. Now, I knew from my life experience that I was presented with two opportunities here. I either engaged in her faults and her feelings, and she's entitled to them, but that doesn't have to be my truth. I either engaged in that and allowed that to become something much messier than it needed to be, or I learned, because I believe that whatever you want to call it, universe, God, spirit, really doesn't matter, presents us with situations in order for us to grow. So I stepped back from that situation, looked at it, and I thought, okay, what's really going on here? Because clearly my sister's upset. what have the boys actually done here that's made her feel so upset? What is really going on for me? And where are my boundaries moving forward from here? Because it's okay for her to feel exactly the way she does, but where is my boundary line? Because like, you're not crossing my boundary line, and that's just it. And so in moving into that space, we were able to engage in dialogue that was therapeutic and that was moving towards a solution. I could have easily stayed in the problem, easily, because if I'd listened to the noise in my head, I would have been like, I'm right, you're wrong, you've done this, you've done that, the whole shebang, the whole whiz. I was an Oscar performer of drama in my life for so many years, but I've got no time for it anymore because I want a peaceful existence. And I have to choose the path that I take in order to do that. So we were able to move into a different space just because I was able to step back and go, what is the teaching here? What is really going on? Because every time I'm presented with something uncomfortable like that, there's a massive, massive lesson. So I guess the question is to ask yourselves, what is the teaching here? And more importantly, am I listening? Does that make sense, Gayle?
Yes, it most certainly does make sense, Marie. I love that. What is the teaching here? But more importantly, am I listening? That just takes it to another level. That expands it into a real level of growth that not many people allow themselves to go to. Thank you, Marie, for that. Just need to breathe that in for a moment. Thank you. So Joyce, I know you were a little bit later, but even so, I know that you have got some real power and wisdom to also breathe into this subject. What would you like to share, hon?
Okay. Hi, everyone. Yeah, as Gayle, you were talking, I remember one of the first things that happened to me when I was about 8 or 9. I was a bright child, to the extreme that my nursery teacher used to say, if Joyce is not at school, then I have no school. But when I got to about 8, I was promoted to the next class, and the teacher, in his wisdom, decided that he would not send me up to the class because I was too young. So that was kind of one of my first setback. And now looking at it, I was born perhaps with a daring spirit, because I thought to myself, how dare you? And the next year, we went along with it. I went to school and I got a scholarship. So for me, it's whose word do we believe? For me, it's who has the final say. Sometimes people stop me, like I said before in my speech the other day, that I've got to many situations where it's a near, almost win, near miss situation. But I've decided that who has the final say? People don't have the final say about my life. It's God who has the final say. And He's given me talents and gifts, and I have a purpose in this world, and it has to be fulfilled. So whenever you get stopped, whatever is stopping anyone, stopping you, if it's someone who has the final say, if it's yourself, do you have the final say, or are you called for a purpose that has to be fulfilled? And that's it for me. Yeah. Who has the final say?
What a lovely way. What a lovely quote to leave on. Who has the final say? Who really has the final say in your life? Who does? Is it the sister that suddenly realised, oh, if Andy's shining, that means I'm not? Or is it the sister that is so, how can we say, so bothered by the noise of a family that she was prepared to put her own family relationship at risk? Who has the final say? Or is it you? Or in my case, it's my relationship that I have with my higher power. In my case, I call my higher power God. So between us, we're in partnership. We're co-creating all the time. And, he's got a bit of a sense of humor where I'm concerned, because he has put me through some trials and tribulations that I've been like, really? Really? But I have to remember that I am never given more than I can handle. And sometimes I get to the point, a bit like Joyce, sometimes I get just to that point where I'm about to break. And then the miracle happens. And the lesson, I can see, I can feel the lesson. I hear the wisdom. And that's when I have to start listening. And I'll be honest, I don't always listen, because that mortal part of me, that human part, used to take over more. Now it's less and less, thankfully. But I do listen. I say all the time, I'm a very faithful and obedient servant. So who has the final say? And here we are now in our BU Rich Daily Inspiration live show. This is our podcast, which is brought to you to help you not just find those answers within you, but also to ask yourself the deeper questions. So, Dr. Marina, who has the final say?
I hope it's not final. You heard Marie saying, you are the answer. But the reality we live in is a very noisy reality. And we all know that everything happens twice, first in your mind and then in reality. So what happens between the two realities? What happens? What is stopping you? What is that void from going from where you are to where you want to be? Well, that void is social conditioning, because you've been socially conditioned, and not only you, but generations before you, to ask yourself the wrong questions. Questions like, how on earth I'm going to get there? I know where I am. I know where I want to be. How do I get there? Instead of thinking, wow, I'm getting there. I'm destined to get there. And I think for me, when I hear people blaming themselves or finding excuses, because most of the time is about finding excuse after excuse. And this morning we've been all participating in a session with Pete Cohen. He is the future self scientist who was coaching us all under a great program called 30 Days Challenge, Step 1, Start 1. And he was broadcasting from Germany. He's based in London. He's been on television for 12 years. He's a massive inspiration to Richmond Society members and everybody you see and you are going to see on this stage. And he was broadcasting despite the fact that he and his wife are going through very difficult times. Actually, they went to Germany for his wife to have brain surgery today. So 6 o'clock a.m., as business as usual, as nothing happened, Pete Cohen showed up. He showed up. He showed up for himself to inspire us to show up for ourselves. So he knows. He knows. He's the future self-scientist, and he knows that it's not your fault if you feel like not showing up for yourself. And in saying that, everybody who is not supporting you, not showing up for you, is because they can't simply show up for themselves. They've been conditioned. They've been conditioned to fill that void between where they are and where they wish they could be with the wrong questions. So asking better questions like, why not instead of why? that's to start with. And trading the how I'm going to get there. I don't have this, I don't have that. Well, to start with, you have everything. If you have an idea, if you have something a dream visiting you, know this. You have to put your name on it. You have to go all in, become the dream, because the only way you could cross that bridge and leave it behind you so other people could cross the same bridge. So reminding yourself who you are destined to be is all about having the courage to say yes to yourself and trading the how I'm going to do this for wow, I'm doing this, I'm being this, I am my passion, and I'm going to show up for myself because it's the only way I could show up for others. It is social conditioning that we are carrying as a curse, I think, from generation to generation. And we look at our children, we see how brilliant they are, and yet they are very brilliant. They are beyond brilliant. They are geniuses, and they don't need to be taught anything. They know. They know. They can find anything. They can Google anything. Those days is nothing we can teach our children, but we can teach them something, how to show up for themselves. So if anything is stopping you today, remember, show up for yourself. It's the only way you could show up for others. Thank you for being with us here today. It's been an absolute privilege. And the amazing ladies, daring divas you've seen, are part of a larger organization called Rich Human Society. And we are a private community of conscious influencers, people who influence themselves first before even attempting to influence others. I think the world needs you. And I want to extend a warm welcome to all our new members. You see them on the stage today. And on behalf of Rich Human Magazine, the hardworking team at the Inspiration Desk, working with Gayle has been an absolute privilege. She is the queen of law of brand attraction. And together with the larger team of the Soul Search Squad, we are showing up for ourselves every day on Clubhouse and um, live streaming. And the next summit, the series, the eight, we just ended the first series of Rich Human Magazine summits, 8 of them this weekend. And it was exclusive to Clubhouse. But now together we move into a different space, into a space from where you could be seen, you could be heard, and you could be yourself. You could be you. This is our tagline: be seen, be heard, be you. If there is anyone that can show up, it's you. From me and Gayle and everybody at Rich Human Magazine until tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock, when we can meet you on Clubhouse. From all of us, remember, be you. Goodbye.